Fix your life in 8 days without disappearing. If you've ever heard that you're supposed to disappear for a while and then come back better, you're not being given the full picture, because on the surface it sounds powerful. Step away, reset, then come back stronger. But here's the problem. Most people can't actually do that. And if they could, they'd come back to the same system that burned them out in the first place. So the issue isn't that you need to disappear. It's that something in your life isn't working the way it should. And when that happens, stepping away doesn't fix it. It just pauses it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to reset your life in just 8 days by fixing the areas that are actually draining your energy, focus, and momentum. And once you see this, you won't feel like you need to disappear ever again. So instead of disappearing for 18, 30, or however many days, we're going to do something far more effective. We're going to reset your life in 8 days, not by escaping it, but by fixing the parts of it that are actually creating that pressure. Because your life isn't one big problem. It's a system made up of different areas. And when even a few of those areas fall out of balance, something starts to feel harder than it should. So over the next 8 days, starting now, we're going to reset 8 key areas of your life, one at a time. Each day has one focus, one adjustment, one goal, so you don't feel overwhelmed and you actually follow through. Now, if you want to go deeper into any one of these areas you're about to hear, I've built full audits for each one. They're simple assessments that show you exactly where the things are off and what to fix. They're completely free, but for now, we're keeping this simple so you actually follow through. Now, before we get into this, there's one rule that makes this actually work. You're not changing everything at once. You're changing one thing per day. That's it. Because the moment you try to fix everything, you overwhelm yourself and nothing actually sticks. And this is where most people start strong and fall off almost immediately, because the first one matters more than people realize. If you get this wrong, nothing else sticks. Day 1 is your physical reset. This is where everything starts. And this isn't about transforming your body. It's about stabilizing your energy. Because when the energy's off, everything feels harder than it should. Your focus drops, your patience drops, and your discipline disappears faster than you'd expect. So today, pick just one of these and keep it simple. Fix your sleep timing, increase your water intake, or move your body for 20 to 30 minutes. Not perfectly, just consistently. For example, instead of saying, I need to fix everything, you might say, tonight, I'm going to bed 30 minutes earlier. That's it. Then you follow through. If you're not sure where your energy is actually breaking down, that's exactly what the physical wellness audit is for. It's designed to show you. You can use it anytime. It's there if you want a clearer breakdown of what's going on. Look, you don't fix your life when you're exhausted. You need to stabilize your energy first, because once your energy starts to stabilize, you begin to notice something else. How much is actually going on in your head? Day 2 shifts your focus. This is your intellectual reset. Most people think they have a focus problem, but they don't. They have just too many inputs, too much information, too many decisions, and too many things competing for attention. So today, you reduce the noise just a little and keep it controlled. Cut back on scrolling, limit what you're consuming, focus on 1 or 2 meaningful priorities. For example, instead of checking your phone every few minutes, you might say, I'm only checking this 3 times today. Well, good luck on that, but give it a hard try. When your input is scattered, your thinking becomes scattered. When your input is controlled, your thinking sharpens. Once your thinking starts to clear, you begin to notice something else. How often you're reacting instead of responding. Day 3 is where control starts to show up, your emotional reset. This isn't about eliminating emotions. It's about reducing unnecessary reactions, because most people aren't exhausted from what's happening. They're exhausted from how often they react to it. So on this day, you're going to focus on one shift and keep it simple. Pause before responding. Don't carry emotions from one moment into the next, or stop over-explaining yourself. For example, when something frustrates you, instead of reacting immediately, you might say, I'll come back to this in 10 minutes. If you ever felt like your reactions are happening automatically, that's where the emotional wellness audit can help. It's completely free, and it helps you see patterns you usually miss. Most exhaustion isn't from what happens. It's from how many times you react to it. So when you reduce that emotional pressure, you start to see something more clearly. What's actually creating that stress in the first place? And for a lot of people, this is where things start to get uncomfortable. Your financial reset. A lot of people think their stress is emotional, but it's not. It's uncertainty, not knowing where your money is going, what's coming in, or whether you're actually stable. So on this day, you're not fixing your finances. You're creating awareness. Just one step. Keep it simple. Look at your spending, check your accounts, or write down what's actually coming in and going out. For example, instead of avoiding it, you might say, I'm going to look at my numbers for 10 minutes today. That's it. And if you want a clear picture of where financial pressure is coming from, the financial wellness audit can guide you through that. It helps you pinpoint exactly where that pressure is, so you're not guessing. You can't stabilize what you won't look at. Once you start seeing things clearly, you begin to recognize how your work is actually creating that pressure. That's day 5, your occupational reset. Most people don't burn out from working hard. They burn out from working without clarity, too many tasks, too many directions, and no real priority. So in this day, you simplify and keep it focused. Identify your top priority, reduce unnecessary tasks, or set a boundary around your work time. For example, instead of trying to do everything, you might say, if I only get one thing done today, it's this. Clarity reduces pressure more than motivation ever will. Once your work becomes clearer, you start to notice how it's affecting your interactions with other people and your energy around them. That's day 6, your social reset. Not all exhaustion comes from what you do. Some of it comes from who you're around, the conversations you have, the expectations you carry, and the energy you absorb. So on this day, you protect your energy and keep it simple. Limit unnecessary conversations. Create a space where you need it, or choose not to engage in something draining. For example, instead of saying yes automatically, you might say, I'll get back to you on that. Not every interaction deserves your energy. When you start protecting your energy, you create space to reflect on what actually matters to you and how you want to show up. Day 7 shifts inward, your spiritual reset. This isn't about religion. It's about what you value and how you treat yourself and others. Because a lot of pressure comes from living out of alignment, doing things you don't fully agree with just to keep things moving, saying yes when you mean no, pushing through when you need to pause, or chasing things that don't actually matter. So in this day, you reconnect and, of course, keep it simple. What do you value right now? How are you showing up for yourself? How are you showing up for others? For example, you might simply ask yourself, if nothing changed, would I be okay where this is going? Clarity in what you value changes how you move through your day. Once that becomes clearer, you start to notice how your environment either supports that or works against it. And finally, day 8, your environmental reset. Your environment is always influencing you, whether you notice it or not. Clutter, noise, distractions, all of it adds friction. So on this day, you reduce that friction. And of course, you have to keep it simple. Clean just one space of your area. Organize your workspace, or remove one source of distraction. For example, instead of trying to fix everything, you might say, I'm just clearing my desk off today. A clear space creates a clearer mind. And when your environment becomes clear, everything else starts to feel more manageable. Now, here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to disappear because everything feels overwhelming, and it might. But what's actually missing is a system that works for you. Because people who build systems don't feel the need to escape their lives. And if you want to go deeper with this, all 8 of these areas have full wellness audits you can go through. They're completely free, and they'll help you identify exactly where things are breaking down. So you're not just guessing what to fix, and you can finally see what's actually been holding you back. I'll link those below along with instructions on how to get one or all 8, again, for free. Because once you reset these areas, the real challenge isn't resetting. It's not falling back into the same patterns. And most of those patterns come down to one thing: reacting when you should be responding. If you can learn to control that, everything else becomes easier to manage. That's exactly what I break down in this next video. Check it out. I'll see you there.